Viva Sasol, viva. Viva Sasol, viva. Viva Awesome Polytlape, viva. We're going to be moving to the big man himself, the MEC, to come and give us his thoughts on sharing the best practices. The MEC is a thought leader in this space. As we welcome him, let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Let me also thank Tate Sibilwani and Tate Morris, all the most important guests that are here. Prof. Majosi, you don't come from the Free State, but you've got the freedom of the Free State. Anytime you want to go there, you've got the freedom of the Free State. Let me first say that I'm particularly worried sometimes when I sit in a meeting where people raise good jokes, but good jokes about teachers. I become worried because none of us would be here if it was not of a teacher. Whether the teacher was qualified or not, but they made a small contribution for all of us to be here. But I'm not political also when I say, especially on maths and science, we need to put some context. And I think all of us here speak, there's problems in maths and so on and so on. But let's wind back and remember that 60 years ago, National Party government led by Dr. Verwoerd decided that a black child must not be taught mathematics. So this is not an accident of history. It was a conscious decision taken by a government at that time to say you must deny a black child education. Make sure that he does not become a chemical engineer. Make sure that he does not become a doctor. And what was also vicious about this system was that, remember at that time in the 50s, I'm told they had missionary schools that was giving proper education and so on. The problem that the system was so vicious at that time that National Party government went out to close those schools, right? So all these schools that were giving black children alternative education, they were closed. And if you look at some of our leaders, people like O.R. Tambo, they attended proper education. That's why people don't know that O.R. Tambo himself has a BSc degree in science, and he was a science teacher. So I'm just saying, in terms of context, it's very, very important. And remember that this party then ruled this country for more than 40 years. And in the process, I think most of us here who are black are product of that Bantu education. And the fact that we did not do adequate mathematics was per design. And every time when I look at these teachers who are struggling with mathematics, I feel pity for them because many of us who are here, for an example, when the first time you interacted with calculus, it was when you were at university. The first time you interacted with financial mathematics, you were at university. So, the first time you interacted, for example, with linear programming, for an example, you were at university. Today, those 3 topics are in the curriculum that these teachers must be able to teach. So you are giving somebody an assegai and say, go and fight in a war that is advanced with aeroplanes and stuff like that. I mean, this is a challenge that we have. And I'm raising these things not to say we must appreciate and not do anything about this environment that we have. I'm just saying, when we criticize our teachers, it's very important to remember that context. Let me give you another context. Those who have studied accounting, you know, in our system, and in fact, even mathematics, in our system, you had so-called standard grade. Okay, let me just say standard grade, not so-called, eh? It was standard grade. Standard grade and higher grade, right? You had those systems, right? But the difference between these 2 grades was that there was a curriculum, Prof, for standard grade. For an example, let me quote accounting because I know that I've heard that as I was interacting with them. A teacher was teaching accounting standard grade. They were not doing cash flow statement. It was not there in the syllabus. A teacher was doing higher grade, they were doing cash flow. So the curriculum changes in the country, comes and say, we are now going to have one curriculum. We're not going to have standard grade and higher grade. We're going to have one mathematics. We're going to have one accounting. And it's laudable, because if you look at it, you'd realize that if a child, for an example, studies mathematics, maybe they've got a teacher who does not understand calculus very well. But at least by the time he goes to university, he knows there's something called calculus. If he's lucky, maybe meeting professors and everybody who can help them, they are able to understand that there is calculus. Calculus is one of the most important part of mathematics that is taught in engineering. Can't be an engineer. So if you are showing me those statistics in terms of failure rate, the first thing that came to my mind was calculus. I remember when we were at the Technicon, I went to the Technicon, and there was this guy, you remember in our times there used to be pre-med, pre-something, pre-university. There was always pre-something, right? Because we were not strong enough. We came from Bantu education, right? And then when this guy, he met me and said, hey man, you're good in math, but I'm telling you, you will never pass calculus. Right? And then here I am now at the Technicon and somebody tells me that I will never pass calculus. Right? So already, the problem is with him, because he has already accepted that calculus is very difficult. So I just thought that let's paint that background. You know, it's very, very important for all of us that, you know, when I was, obviously, as you know, I'm a member of the ANC. And when we went to Parliament in 1994, somebody put a photo there, I'm sure you know this, these cartoons, where somebody's going up the ladder. And then they say to you, if you go up the ladder, right, remember those who were there with you. And when you arrive there, don't kick away the ladder. I want to say to all of us, Black South Africans in particular, those of you who are in decision-making processes, don't kick the ladder. South Africa needs you now more than ever. It is tough in schools, it's not easy. It's not only the fences and all this, it's the curriculum. It's more difficult for our teachers. But let me not just say that, because these things can be done. I will tell you what we have done in the province of the Free State. I just thought that I must put that pretext so that now we must understand why are we here. And also, you know, people always like comparing us to Mozambique and all this, not Mozambique, Tanzania and all these other countries. But I can tell you that, firstly, in terms of access, we are at 98%. Children in this country, 98% of the children who are supposed to be at school are at school. In fact, we were congratulated as a country by UN that in terms of developing countries, we are the only country that has met those challenges of access to education. The second Millennium Developmental Goal talks about making sure that now our girl learners at least reach primary school, right? We have almost 100% of girl learners in our schools. So at least, there are certain things that we are doing right. But I must also accept that because this curriculum, let's take the Free State. You've got 36,000 teachers in the province, 1,527 schools. All of them, in fact, maybe 90% of them, sometimes 99% of them, products of Bantu education. So we need to be able to say, what are the things that we must be able to do to help them to navigate? Because we're not going to fire 35,000 teachers. Where am I going to get another 35,000 teachers? Right? But I must say, it can be done. If you look at some interventions, I know that we are doing quite a number of interventions, Dr. Morris, with other provinces. But let me take the intervention as an example that we do with Investec in our province. Investec is focusing in Makgoe, the poorest of the poor in our province. Last year we had very good results. And in Makgoe, we had about 4 schools, 4 black schools, 100% black teachers, Bantu education, everything, reaching a pass rate of 100%, all of them. In the province of the Free State, in total, we've got 12 schools. And go and ask any MEC of education. In fact, you must do that research yourself. That the problem with announcing results as an MEC of education is that every time you must announce white schools or former disadvantaged schools as 100% schools. So we then set a target in our province to say, I told them, I said, I am tired. I called all of them, I said, we sat down and said, look, you know what? I am tired. I'm not going to leave this department after 5 years without announcing, good 100% schools. And last year we did. And with this working relationship that we have with Kutlwanong and Investec, they took 134 learners, right, that they were teaching over the weekend. And they took them from grade 10. And all what they did was just to focus on maths and science over the weekend. 3 hours maths on Friday, 3 hours maths, 3 hours science on a Saturday. And out of 134 learners, we got 36 learners who got level 7 in mathematics. 27 learners who got distinctions level 7 in science. So it can be done. And what Kutlwanong had done was not to replace these teachers. They didn't bring a new set of teachers. They took the same teachers who've got these weaknesses, worked with them, and identified. And I'm saying, it was also a lesson to us that probably our timetables are wrong. Children need more time in mathematics. Because you are right that in most cases at primary level, they found this teacher that you were talking about, say, who got 4 Fs, that's 33.3%. And then they went to college. They said, you're a primary school teacher, you can teach all subjects. That's what happened. So I think it's very, very important for us to understand the problem so that we can develop appropriate solutions. So I'm saying the difference with this input that we got from Investec and Kutlwano has been that it has been long-term, it has not been short-term, it was not an issue of media. You know, sometimes companies, when they want to support schools and education, the most important thing they're concerned about is media coverage. But if you take a long-term, more resources, empowering these teachers, because I can tell you some of the teachers who are teaching in this program, they are from these schools that have given us 100%. And a lot of schools that gave us 90%. That's why we were number 3 in the country. I must also say something that is important for me. We have made a calculation and we have seen that there's a clear correlation between the pass rate in mathematics and the overall pass rate. And the correlation coefficient, Prof, is above 60%. I think it was about 69%. So it says to us, as a Department of Education, one of the things that we need to be able to do is to focus on mathematics. And as somebody who have loved mathematics, I love mathematics a lot, and that's why I also did chemical engineering at the Technical, Valtranya. One of the first things that we did when we arrived in the Department of Education, because I couldn't understand, a poor teacher was able to teach me fractions. And suddenly these resource teachers are not able to teach fractions. We then developed our own strategy. Yes, we have a national strategy in terms of science and maths. But what we did in our province, we developed our own. That is talking to the real issues on the ground. And we call that strategy EMSTA, English, Mathematics, Science, Technology, and Accounting Strategy. So we developed a particular strategy to say, this, in fact, the sector, you know, they were so despondent about mathematics to an extent that these 3 subjects were called killer subjects. You know, mathematics, science, and accounting were called killer subjects. And I said, no, those can't be killer subjects. They are a catalyst subject. They are a facilitating subjects to be able to go at university. Because Prof says all these things, but to be able to be admitted, you need level 7 in mathematics, in engineering. Right? If you get a level 6, you do a 5-year program. Right? So you have seen that. So these are enabling subjects, not killer subjects. And then we realized that one of the things that we need to do is to organize a campaign. I'm a politician. So we then organized a campaign that I called Maths for All campaign. And in this Maths for All campaign, we were inviting people like Prof, practitioners, engineers, doctors, and so on. We were talking specifically to grade 8 and 9s about the beauty of mathematics. They were telling them why is mathematics so important. We ran it in all the districts of our province. So it was really, you know, I know if it was in Gauteng, if I was in Gauteng, we would have gotten a lot of coverage on this campaign. But obviously you are in the Free State, so you don't worry, it's not a problem. So we did this campaign. But also because of that campaign, when everybody realized, I must also say, one of the things that was important in terms of strategy, our approach, I then realized that, I don't know whether it's the same at DBE, but some of the people who are supposed to run the maths and science strategy themselves are not graduates of mathematics. Identify that problem. And Makgoe there was working in a housing department. And I knew that she's got a master's degree in mathematics education. And I said, but Premier, how can we leave such a person to go and build houses when I need this person here? And then the premier was, no, but she's good there, everybody. And in a meeting, we were in Paris, our hometown. I come from Paris, premier comes from Paris. And then when I was addressing the meeting there, it was a big rally. And I said, I have agreed with the premier that Makgoe will come and join my department from Monday this week. Right? She was sitting there, she didn't know that thing. And the premier now, he couldn't stand up and say, no, I don't agree with the MEC. He had to say, yeah, no, I agree, Makgoe, you must go there. And that's how we started. There are some of the tactics that we use as politicians. I always say to people, sometimes when you hear us announcing something there, sometimes we have not even thought about it, but we want it to happen. We want it to happen. It's like a vision. We want this thing to happen, and it must happen. So because of these things, you would have seen that in the Free State, as they were saying, that from DBE was saying, that our performance in terms of honor results improved a lot because of this extra effort that we have been doing. But there was one thing that was very, very important, our MEC grade 6 results. Now, I'm sure you know that in terms of honor, and honor is an internationally benchmarked test, because we were preparing for teams when we were designing honor, right? Remember we pulled out of teams in 2002? And we participated in 2011. But we were preparing for teams at that time. And what is good about our results in 2011 of grade 6 is that when all provinces collapsed, their results went down. All provinces. Only the Free State increased their results. And that happened because of our partnership, because we believe in partnerships to assist these teachers. That happened because of our partnership. I went to India with Peter Sibilwan. And then when we were there in India, we met quite a number of companies, including NIIT, who introduced the concept of MEC lab. When I came back, we said we are going to put in MEC labs. We didn't have a budget for it. Mayor said, no, we don't have a budget. I said, I don't know where we're going to get the money, but I'm going to announce it in my budget speech, so that it must be done. And we were able to roll out 200 of these MEC labs through Peter and them company. 200. And I don't know what these things do. Suddenly, children are so excited about mathematics. Suddenly, the teachers themselves are so enthusiastic about mathematics. It probably is the same thing that you are doing at Sasol. But this one involves where children have got manipulatives. One of the teachers in Kwakwa was telling us that, from time to time, I have to accept that people get sick. I don't get sick. I work. Even if I'm sick, I go to work. But I must accept others are not like me. They do get sick, and with the slightest flu, they stay at home. But what this teacher was saying to me was that what is now amazing is that these children, when she's not there, they go to the principal and say, give us the key to the lab. We want to go to the lab. So we have reached a stage where children at grade 6, that is about 10 years, 11 years, can be peer educators. They are teaching themselves on this thing. They are playing on these games. Yeah? And I think that's why I said we are making progress, despite what Mr. Verwoerd believed. Yes, I must accept that in grade 9, I'm going to be very frank with you. In grade 9, the results were bad. National got 13%, and we got 14% as a province. But I've gone to principals and said to them, look, the truth of the matter is that you were not teaching children in grade 8 and 9. Because in a high school, everybody starts focusing on the last 3 bands, on the last 3 standards, grade 10, grade 11, grade 12. Even when you hear a lot of interventions, you will hear people talk more about what are we doing for grade 10, 11, and 12. I want to suggest that, because we are changing our system at the Department of Education, because you used to have what is called GET. GET is grade 1 to grade 9. It's a compulsory phase. Right? And then we've got FET the last 3 years. Now, I was saying to them, I don't understand it. How come you have more subject advisors in the last 3 grades? In the first 9 grades, you don't have sufficient number of subject advisors. These are some of the organizational problems that we have. And then we have taken a decision that a subject advisor who is responsible for grade 12 results must also be responsible for grade 9 results. So it's a new thing. I don't tell them at DBE because they will tell me about this policy and this other policy. I don't operate in policies in my office because I do things the way I know that they're going to work. And we have been engaged in discussions. And everybody's excited now to say, you know what, it makes sense. When they go to school to check grade 12 results, they also just check the grade 9 results. And you're talking about the throughput. You're talking about the issue of the number of learners dwindling in grade 12. The problem is in grade 9 and grade 10. So that's what we are doing in terms of our intervention. I must also say that, you know, in the past, we do things slightly different in the Free State. You know, the teams that we wrote in 2011, you know that South Africa has improved. South Africa has improved from 205 mean score to 3,552. It's about 60 points improvement. Our province improved from 291 to 359. Right? But what did we do? We didn't sit and say, oh, teams is coming, okay, we'll wait. We said, no, give us the schools that we want to sample. They gave us the schools. They said, no, we don't know, but this range may be sampled. What we then did, we did extra classes for these young learners. Extra classes, more time. That's what we have learned from Kwakhiso Trust. From Kutwano. These children need more time to do mathematics. And that's what we did. So that's why the results have improved the way they have improved. And I'm sure by now everybody knows that through these interventions, the pass rate in the province of the Free State moved from 43.5% in 2010 to 64.8% in 2012. And that's the progress that we are making. And those in physical science moved from, I think, 43%, I think, I don't have it here. It was about 43% to 68%. And one of the things that we do, accounting moved, I think, from 50 to 71. But one of the things that we do, we incentivize these learners. We've got, and you are all invited, we've got a top 100 program where the first top 100 students are given automatic bursaries to the universities of their choice. At the moment, and the Premier, who also likes education a lot. So I think we moved our budget program. We are now supporting 6,066 learners in our bursary program. We are spending more than 300 million rands to support those learners. You cannot go, I can bet with you, Prof, you cannot go to any university and not find students from the Free State. We are represented in any universities. And what we also do, because we don't just send them there and leave them there. Once a year, the MECs, ourselves, we go to see them at universities. We visit them. Of course, I had the bursary of AECI at that time, and that's what they used to do. So once in a time, they would come just to try and understand what the problems are. And then we have made sure that some of those lessons from the private sector, we have put them in the Department of Education. So what we then do every year, all MECs are shared They go to provinces, KwaZulu-Natal, whatever university, so that we can be able just to talk to them and tell them that we still value them. And the only problem that's beginning to be a challenge now, that's good that we have people like Maurice here. We have quite a number of students who choose chemical engineering. It's still a very popular degree. I don't know why. Maybe there's a Sasol Techno X is very effective. But it's still a very, very popular degree. But what the challenge that we have is that these ones who go to technicons still need these 1-year practicals. And we are struggling with that. So, Maurice, I'm going to take your numbers, your email. I'm going to send all of them because we will not be able to do that. So I think, and also other volunteers who are here, I don't know, I just know that they Maurice. But we have a challenge. Quite a number of students who want to do experiential training. Let me conclude by very fast talking about the specific interventions again. One, we are doing extra classes from grade 10 to grade 12. You know, there's a school in Botshabelo, Mpatleng, that's the name of the school. This school, I went there, they passed at 40% last year. I went there first day of the school, no, the second day, the 10th. And I discussed with them and I said, what do you want? And they said, we want extra classes and good teachers. We went to the University of the Free State, we got some good teachers. We went to the University of the Free State and we got students, teachers who are still there. Extra classes started first week in that school. So if you go to Free State, if you go to places like Velkom, Parys, Sasolburg, if you don't see children on a Saturday in uniform, you must call me. Something is wrong in that town. Because that's a culture that we are beginning to inculcate now, that you need more and more time to understand, you know. We also organize what we call metric camps. And what we then do with these metric camps is that we involve sometimes teachers from ex-Model C schools, good teachers. Don't think that all the teachers in ex-Model C school are good. No, we just take the good ones, and the good ones from the township schools, because quite accidentally, you know, the best school in mathematics and science in the area of Lejweleputswa, Velkom, is not your Velkom Gymnasium or all these things. It is Leseding. It's a township school. And they're just teaching mathematics only, nothing else. It's a dinner lady school, right? They don't have math lit in that school. They teach just math, but they were the best. And in terms of numbers also, not only 20 learners and so on. No. I think they had 140-something learners who were doing grade 12. And all of them passed grade 12. And with merit, with a lot of distinctions that we have had there. The other thing that is important, we value our partners, Kagiso Trust, Investec, yourselves, NIT, and so on and so on. We value them. And our model, we don't want you to come and put all your money. Sasol, obviously. Sasol is the big one. But we don't want you to put all your money. Sometimes we come and say, let's go rand for rand. And I think next week, I'll be signing with Sanduka, because they want to put 200 million rand in First Dabi district, and then we'll be matching them rand to rand. That's what we do. So that now we don't come and say, no, put your money, and then it gets out. No. We put ours also there. So that now it's the first business principles, isn't it? That when you open up a company, you must have owner's equity. So we put our own equity there, such that if things go wrong, we all lose in the process. All right? We have developed a common test, and I know that at one point DBE did not have appetite for this common test, but now they've agreed. We've got common tests in grade 3, 6, 9, and the FET phase, 10, 11, 12. And these common tests, they are helping us because they work like pace setters. Because we know that at first quarter, the teachers should be at this level. They should be teaching at this level. And if the learners in the school perform all 20%, then we know It's not the learner's problem, it's the teacher. But what is nice about it, you then pick up the problem quite early. You don't wait for Angie Moseka to announce the results, and then you get surprised. I sit every quarter with the district directors, CESs of curriculum, and we analyze the results of every district. So I make time to ensure it's just also about leadership, our presence being there ourselves, not delegating anybody. In terms of teacher development, I raised the issue of standard grade and higher grade earlier. So what we do is that over the weekend, if we realize that, because you can always see if a teacher has got a problem with a particular topic, you will see that when they answer accounting, when they come to cash flow, all children have not answered. So we analyze the scripts, even the grade 12 scripts, and then we can pick up that, oh, there's this problem. And then we organize a weekend, retreat with these teachers who are involved and drill them again on this subject. And we do something that I don't want you to talk to a lot about it. I don't want SATU to know it, because these members are also SATU members. What we do in those workshops, those teachers, when they come, we make them write a test first. So they write and answer that grade 12 test. Then we can see, or an exam, then we can see where the weaknesses are. And then we work with them to try and address those problems. So it's evidence-based empowerment. I also spoke about the issue of standard grade and higher grade in mathematics. One of the things that I did not say earlier is that many of these standard grade teachers, because they were not confident to teach a higher grade of this new math, they opted for math literacy. So we then developed a program last year, the beginning of last year, where we trained 110 math lead teachers, former math lead teachers, because we went to them and said, you are math teachers, so why do you come and tell us that you can't teach math? He said, no, but this curriculum, this and the other. So Maurice, we worked with the University of Nelson Mandela, that Governor Mbeki Institute that you are funding, to train these teachers. And it was a one-year course. So all of them, there were 110, including subject advisors. We trained them on mathematics, gave them CDs, everything and so on. They were writing exams like everybody else. And all of them, 110 of them passed. Others passed at level of 97%. And you see, as I told you, I'm MEC and I went to one school. And this guy was teaching maths before, now he's head of department, but he teaches maths lead. Then I said to him, no, by MEC's decree, you are now going to teach maths. Leave this man who's not teaching maths, because the person who was teaching maths was not good anyway. So I asked the man to go and teach maths. And as I told you that there's a correlation between maths pass rate and the overall pass rate, the school moved from 41% to 97%. 1 year, right? So you can say that, ladies and gentlemen, that if we focus on mathematics, and I know that some of the technocrats in DBE don't want to hear this statement, but I'm telling you, it has worked for us. It may be a different program in Gauteng, it may be a different program in KZN and everywhere else, but it's working for us that if we focus on mathematics, put resources, extra teaching, developing teachers, the results have improved. And that is why when you look at the graph, you will see Western Cape, I think they've got 71% in mathematics, 70% in mathematics. Gauteng has got about 69%. We are down there, number 3, at 65. So we are just there. And when you look at that graph that has been done by Bobby Sabrian, you will see everybody else is here, including KZN. They are all here. We are there in the corner there, the top 3. I know you've got time constraint. Let me just finish quickly. One of the things that I think we did, brilliant program that I want people to see, is also Hey Math. The Hey Math program, you know that I saw it on Economist. It is an international program. We picked it up also in India. It's been used in Singapore and many other countries. So we contracted these people, and we are giving 195 schools in our province Hey Maths. And it's also has got those cartoons where they teach using cartoons. It's audio, it's interactive. But the beauty about Hey Maths is that every year we sit together and say, what else should we improve? And that interaction, I think, is extremely important. So all I'm saying is that when you help schools, whether it's in our province or anywhere, don't agree where a department or anybody comes and says, just give us money and leave. That's not what we want. That interaction, working together. You guys helping us to see some of the things that we don't see, because this is a societal issue. We also use community radio stations in our province for subject advisors to go teach there in the community radio stations, and children can phone. And we pay for these community radio stations for them to do these things. Another one that is important, we have introduced mental maths competition. We are focusing it on the poor schools, quintile 1, 2, 3, the poor schools only. And they come, they do mental maths. You know those things of Maths 24? You know those kind of things? Yeah. They do those things, complicated stuff. And I really want to invite you to come and see some of those issues that we do. We have introduced chess big time in our primary schools, because we think chess also contributes to, mental fitness. Children can think strategies, they can think 3, 4, 5 steps before you make a move. That's what chess is about. There are people, Prof, who just want to do what they see, right? You lose in chess if you play chess that way. You have to think, when I move this, what is he going to do? After doing that, what will he do? And after you have satisfied yourself that your move is correct, only then do you make a move. So we have realized that we need these chess in our schools, and then we have given them and so on. We also give things like math dictionaries and so on and so, quite a number of other things. But I must close by saying, I wish we could do more with Techno-X. Let's face it. If you say a teacher who's teaching LO must also do career guidance, he or she does not even know that there are those 9 fields of engineering. They don't know. They don't even know what Sasol does and stuff like that. But Techno-X is so powerful. Some of our best students, we take them to Techno-X every year. And then many of them come back, go back to their schools, and they choose engineering. So Techno-X has been extremely effective. I really want, Tate Morris, if you can, I want you to take it to 2 areas. Because I have taken a personal mission. Fervur said we can't do mathematics. I want to prove him wrong. Yes. Right? And what we then do is that I focus on concentrated black areas. Because sometimes what we do, we just focus on ex-model C schools. We're taking our children there. Hey, Saint Mamang is doing well. Saint Mamang is doing well. I don't want Saint Mamang. I want Mohala Ditwe. Right? So I want to ask you that there are 2 concentration areas, as you know, in the Free State. Kwakwa, Botshabelo. Okay, Botshabelo and Tabanchu is just close. Right? If we can have Techno-X going to those 2 areas, Chief, I promise you I'll be #1 in the country. I promise you. If we can have career guidance going to Kwakwa students, Kwakwa's got a particular problem. They've got a problem with electricity. So every child wants to do electrical engineering there. They want to go and solve the problem of electricity at home. But there are many other branches. And that's why we want to invite you, Prof, also. I really want to work a program with you. I want you to talk to our learners. One of the things that you say is true, that our learners, by the time they go to university, they are not prepared. Nobody has ever told them about the life of university. It reminds me when I was just last input program director. Also aim. It reminds me of one thing that it stays in my memory. I obviously am a member of ANC, I got involved, MK, and all these other things, and I got arrested. And then one of the things that I studied when I was in prison, I studied a BCom. And because when I was at AECI, I saw quite a number of engineers were combining commerce and engineering and so on. So I studied a BCom. And then there was this comrade who warned me, you know what, if you have not done accounting, you will never succeed in a BCom. Because remember, accounting 1 is compulsory. But now, if you want me to do something, tell me that I won't do it. Then I'm going to prove you wrong. Then I decided to do that he says I won't do it. But there was something that was very, very peculiar. They were talking about check counterfoil. I can't give you knees at there. You are in prison, there's nobody that you know, you can't talk to anybody. Now they're talking about bank reconciliation. And now they're talking about check counterfoil and so on. Yes. Look, I'm a township boy, raised by a single parent. I've never seen a check, let alone check counterfoil. I was struggling to understand what is this thing called check counterfoil. And I was taught by my teachers, if you don't understand something, go to a dictionary. I went to a dictionary. The dictionary can't explain this thing, check counterfoil. I ended up saying, hey man, this is tough. I wrote a letter to university after writing my exams, the test. I wrote there, I am from a disadvantaged community. I don't know check counterfoil. Can you explain it for me? Thank you. So these things that we're talking about, Prof, that we are not ready. You know, children whose parents are in business, they see these things. They see a check counter, they see a bank statement. It's normal to see a bank statement. But if you come from, poor community, if you come from an area where nobody's working, you don't even understand what is a bank statement. At least reconciliation, if you look in the dictionary, you can see, oh, you're comparing this and this other one. That I could understand. But this thing called a check counterfoil. So I'm saying, I agree with you. We need a lot. I need all of you to go to my schools, just talk to learners. Tell them about your own university experience. Nothing serious, but just tell them about your own university experience. I've got a daughter now who, like father, like daughter, who has gone to study chemical engineering at University of Cape Town. And every time I used to tell her that, these professors, they speak nice, but when they come into the classroom, they tell you chapter 1, 2, 3, you'll do it for yourself. I'm starting with chapter 4, right? You know that thing? And then she phoned me last week to say, hey, Dad, you were right. They did exactly what you said they're going to do. 1, 2, 3, I must read for myself. And it's a lot of work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, MEC. Thank you. Much appreciated. When the MEC speak, you don't stand. You just sit down and keep quiet until further instruction. Thanks, MEC, for saying I must stand up next to you so that you can accelerate your speech. Don't forget, as you take the professors, the Morrises of this world, don't also forget to take the EmpowerWorks, to provide career guidance, governance, policy, and leadership issues. I'm gonna open, for Q&A, just 10 minutes. We're still on time, and thereafter we're gonna break for 5 minutes, just have, tea and coffee. I know that Tate Morris, you are pressed for time. But before you leave, do you mind if you could just take 1 or 2 questions? I got say about some voting, and then we'll join us. Let me just take 2 or 3 questions while Tate Morris asampanelete. Going once, going twice. Ladies first, mantomazana, sister ngara, and then ubaba ngapa. Ubano monye? Okay, let me just check. Okay, in that order.
I was also a product of Free State education. But what I wanted to ask is, Well, what are we doing to create like our own sort of a Silicon Valley? Because our young entrepreneurs actually being brought in as service providers into education, and I don't mean as suppliers of pens, as caterers, or all of those other things that they seem to be doing. Are they actually their skills actually being brought in? For instance, in developing like technology and apps, because the world that we work in, that is the future. And as the MEC said earlier on, that peer-to-peer like distribution of information, it goes a long way. So what is actually being done when working with maths and science to actually bring on, because it's the young entrepreneurs, unfortunately this is not one that can be done by the older generation, to actually implement technology, like bringing it into education. That's what I want to share.
Thank you. Second question?
I'm from Protec, and Mr. Tate is our alumni. Thank you very much. I would like to know, there's a huge problem about learners that are coming from grade 9 going into grade 10 in terms of choice of subjects. People out there think that mathematics and mathematical literacy can be you can choose either one of the two, and that is not true, because in math literacy there is nothing new, no new skill that a learner will learn from grade 10 to grade 12. So when we move out to schools, we find that everyone can hear me. Yeah, when we move to schools, we find that there are a lot of schools that are allowing learners to take groupings of subjects. Like, for example, you will find there are physical science students in a school that do not do mathematics. And they are doomed because there is nothing that they will do after matric. Because when they go to technical high schools, when they go to technicals, former technicals and now universities of technology, there's nobody that will be taken to do any science or engineering course without mathematics. And another thing is also that learners that are choosing commercial subjects. No university will offer you a BCom degree without doing mathematics. And I would like to thank the MEC, the passion that you show in the livelihood of the schools in your province is outstanding. And I would like, if possible, to have a person like you to be a national minister.
All right, thank you. We're
much.
done now. Thank you, my brother. Thank you for giving the MEC the complimentary note to go for to be the national minister. My brother, yes. I get you in my mic before it. I get you.
Thank you very much, Program Director.